I am 104 years old today. They say time heals all wounds, but they never tell you that time is also a thief. It steals the sound of a voice, the warmth of a hand, and the color of a world that no longer exists. My name is Eleanor, and before I leave this porch for the last time, I need to tell you how I built a kingdom out of sawdust, tears, and a small book that saved my soul when the world was falling apart. I was 17 when I married James. It was 1939. We didn't have much, just a small house in Ohio, and a radio that brought nothing but bad news from Europe. I remember the day we said, "I do." I wore a dress my mother made from old lace, and James, oh James, looked so handsome in his only suit. He promised me a life of white picket fences and Sunday roasts. By 1941, we had Sarah and little Robert. Our house was filled with the smell of baby powder and hope. But then came December, Pearl Harbor. The music on the radio stopped, and the drums of war began. In 1942, I stood at the train station. The steam from the locomotive felt like a ghost touching my face. James held me so tight. I could hear his heart racing against his uniform. He kissed the children, climbed that iron giant, and disappeared into a cloud of coal smoke. I stood there, holding a 1-year-old and a toddler, realizing for the first time that the man of the house was now me. Money didn't just run out, it evaporated. I found work at a local lumberyard. A woman in a lumberyard in 1943 was a ghost in a machine. They laughed at me. My hands, once soft from playing the piano, became calloused and stained with cedar and sweat. I hauled bags of cement that weighed more than I did just to keep a roof over our heads. But the hardest part wasn't the work. It was the day Robert came home from school with a black eye and a torn shirt. A boy had told him his father was never coming back and that his mother was just a common laborer. I sat on the kitchen floor and cried until my lungs hurt. I looked at my reflection in a cracked mirror and saw a defeated woman. I was ready to give up until I found something hidden in a pile of old newspapers at the back of the shop. I reached for that dusty, worn-out book, not knowing that the words inside would either drive me mad or make me the richest woman in this county. But first, I had to survive the night the telegram arrived. The book was Think and Grow Rich. It looked like trash in that pile of newspapers, but when I opened it, the first words I read were, "Every adversity brings with it the seed of an equivalent benefit." I laughed at first. My husband was at war. My son was bleeding, and my hands were raw. What benefit could there be? But I didn't stop reading. At night, by the light of a single candle, Napoleon Hill taught me that my mind was the only thing the war couldn't take. I started to look at that lumberyard differently. I wasn't just a worker anymore. I was an observer. I learned the price of every board, the mix of the concrete, and the dreams of every man who came in to buy a handful of nails. The telegram arrived on a Tuesday. My heart stopped before I even opened it. But it wasn't a death notice. James was alive, but he was coming home early. When I saw him at the station in 1946, I ran to him, but the man who stepped off that train wasn't my James. His eyes were hollow, staring at things I couldn't see. He didn't speak for weeks. The sounds of a car backfiring made him crawl under the table. The man who was supposed to build our white picket fence couldn't even hold a hammer without shaking. I realized then that the war hadn't ended for him. And since he couldn't work, I knew I had to build our future with my own two hands, guided by the ghost of Napoleon Hill in my head. I went to my boss, Mr. Henderson. I told him I had a plot of land left by my father and a plan. I didn't ask for a loan. I asked for a partnership. I told him, "You have the materials. I have the vision, and we will share the profit." He looked at me like I was crazy, but Hill had taught me about definiteness of purpose. I didn't blink. We built that first house in 1950. I was there every day, supervising the foundation, while James sat in the shade, lost in his memories. When we sold it, the profit was more than I had earned in 5 years at the yard. That was the birth of Eleanor's homes. I wasn't just surviving. I was becoming a force of nature. By 1960, I thought I was untouchable. I had money, status, and my children were growing. But nature has a way of testing a person's resolve. The sky turned black, the wind began to howl, and in 6 minutes, everything I had built turned back into splinters. I still remember the sound. It wasn't like a whistle. It was like a freight train screaming in my ear. The tornado of 1960 didn't just take the roofs, it took the foundations. I stood in the mud the next morning, looking at the houses I had built, houses that were now just piles of broken dreams. My neighbors were crying, but I felt a strange calm. Hill's words echoed in my head, the seed of an equivalent benefit. I didn't rebuild the same way. I sold the remaining land, took the insurance money, and used a new reinforced technique I'd been studying. I didn't just sell houses anymore. I sold safety. Within 2 years, my company was twice as big. My son, Robert, was now by my side, a brilliant young man who saw the world just like I did. He was the bridge to the future I had dreamed of at that lumberyard. But life is a master of balance. In 1970, the sky fell again, but this time there was no wind, just a phone call. Robert, my boy, the one who survived the poverty of the war and the bullies at school, he was gone. A construction accident. A split second that changed everything. He left behind a young wife, Linda, and a son who had his father's eyes. I fell into a darkness I didn't think I could survive. James was still there, a silent shadow in his chair, unable to help me. I wanted to close the company and let the weeds grow over everything. But then I looked at Linda, his widow, and my daughter, Sarah. They were lost. They were where I had been in 1942. And I realized that the motive force Napoleon Hill talked about wasn't just about money. It was about duty to those who remain. I told Linda and Sarah, we won't just build the walls, we will sell the spirit of the home. We took the warehouse and turned it into the first Eleanor and Daughter's hardware store. We didn't just sell nails, we gave advice to women who, like me, had to fix their own lives. That one store became 2, then 4. Sarah had the business mind I gave her, and Linda had the heart that Robert loved. Together, we became a fortress. By the time James finally found his peace and passed away in the late 90s, he died in a house built by his wife, surrounded by a legacy he never thought possible when he left that train station in 1942. Now, as I sit here at 104, people ask me if it was all worth it. The sweat, the cement, and the graves I had to visit along the way. They want to know the secret, not the one in the book, but the one I discovered in my soul. And the answer, well, it's not what you'd expect. I look out from this porch today, and I see a city I helped build. Those 4 stores? They aren't just businesses. They are monuments to the fact that 3 women, broken by grief, decided to stand up when the world told them to stay down. Sarah and Linda run the empire now, and my grandson, Robert's boy, he's an architect. He builds with the same definiteness of purpose I found in that dusty book so many decades ago. People asked me, Eleanor, how did you keep going when James was a shadow and your son was in the ground? And I tell them what Napoleon Hill whispered to me every night. The starting point of all achievement is desire. I didn't just desire money. I desired for my family to never be invisible again. I desired for the sawdust on my clothes to be a badge of honor, not a mark of shame. At 104, my eyes are failing, but my vision has never been clearer. The secret isn't in the bricks, the mortar, or the bank accounts. The secret is that life will break you. It broke me at that train station. It broke me under the table with James. And it broke me at my son's funeral. But here is what 104 years have taught me. A broken bone, once healed, is stronger at the point of the fracture. Don't wait for the war to end to start building your life. Don't wait for the storm to pass to plant your garden. Take your adversity, no matter how bitter, and find that seed. It's there. I promise you, it's there. My James is waiting for me now, in a place where the whistles of trains don't mean goodbye. But until I join him, I will sit here. I will watch the sunset over the houses I built, and I will be grateful for every bag of cement I ever carried. My name is Eleanor. I was once just a girl of 17 with a lace dress and a dream. Now, I am a century of stories. And if you are listening to this, remember, your mind is the only thing the world can't take from you. Use it. Build something that outlasts your pain. God bless you.